So Kim and I, we try not to always speak together.
We never speak together.
Yes, that's what I was really saying. And because our approach toward life and even communicating is so different. And we've been married 41 years. And really, we want to talk not just about marriage. We want to talk about relationships. And we want to talk, because the bulk of life is how you navigate each other. It's how you navigate people. And I guarantee you, as you look back on your life, those moments that you will remember best with the greatest amount of fondness, it will not be about success or wealth or possessions or power or fame. It will be intimately connected to your relationship to people. And the darkest moments in your life, ironically, will not be connected to loss of wealth or loss of fame or loss of stuff. It'll be connected to the loss of people. So as we dive into this today and as we begin this month together, you know, Mosaic used to be almost 80% singles. And people would say, "Where's your singles ministry?" I go, "You are it." And fortunately, over the years, we have more people who've gotten married. And so it's kind of balanced out a bit. But we know that there's so many different journeys. Some of you have been single all your life. Some of you are single because you were married, now you're divorced. Some of you are married and happy. And some of you are married and miserable.
That's not us, though, right?
And we'll get there, hon. And
just checking.
Because I don't want us to assume there's a state of human connection that solves all of life's problems. Because some of you are single and you're really happy. And you're healthy. And you're good. And so you don't need to add a human to make yourself better. Okay? And some of you are married and you're thinking, I have to subtract one and, to make my life better. And the reality is that one of the interesting things about marriage is that it's a social experiment of, can one person actually not love you all your life, but like you all of your life? And can you like this person all of their life? I don't think marriages end because love ends first. I think marriages end because like ends first. But from that, we'll dive into whatever you want to talk about, honey.
Well, I chose the title, and it's called The Mystery of Love. That's good, huh? That's good. That's good, but I will just confess this. Erwin's been gone. He got home. He's been gone all week. You got home last night at midnight. So this is very much improvisational, right?
It always is for me.
So we'll
but
do.
Not for
I
you.
mean, I prepared, but I'm saying.
And I feel very good about the fact that Kim prepared.
So this is the lightning round.
But we've been married 41 years, so I've been preparing for this moment for a long time.
Yeah. He's been in training, I'll say. All right. The lightning round is just one word, right? You just pick your word that most represents you, not me.
Are you going to do that too?
Yeah, I'm going to do it too.
Okay.
I'm going to do it too. Extrovert, introvert.
I'm an introvert.
Extrovert.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell what I am?
No,
too?
no, you say it.
All right. All right.
I would never speak
We're
on your
just
behalf,
setting up
honey.
the thing, huh?
I would never speak on your behalf.
Okay.
And,
First time. All right. Second.
all right. Introvert.
Thinker.
Introvert.
Extrovert.
Let's practice. That's good. All right.
Okay. Thinker, feeler.
Thinker.
Feeler. Morning person, night person.
What's the morning?
So that would be me. And night is
person.
Very much your night person. And mostly, also, because you're an introvert, I've learned that one of my patterns must be to give you your night. I have to give you your night when you need your night. And that is like to decompose. What's that other word?
Decompress.
De what? De what? Decompress, but decompose was the first in my mind.
Decompress.
All right, decompress, and then mine, I get all of my, in the morning, right? Rocky Balboa or Queen Elizabeth II?
Adrian.
What?
Rocky, of course.
I know.
Yeah.
I would be Queen Elizabeth II. Not that that's who we are, but we would gravitate toward those characters. All right? Although I like the Queen Elizabeth. Okay. Ireland or El Salvador?
I didn't have a choice, honey. No one asked me where I wanted to be born, but I'm from El Salvador. Yes.
But would you choose that even now, Ireland or El Salvador?
Well, I mean, I really love Ireland.
I love it more.
Great,
I love it more.
I think it's a great country to come from.
I'm from there.
That's awesome.
Thank you. You're from El Salvador. All right. I mean, we have not practiced any. Okay, I just say Italian or sushi?
Oh, sushi.
Italian.
Yeah.
I may have created these questions just for my point at the end. All right. Road trip or by plane?
What's a biplane?
No, like by road or by plane?
Plane.
Okay. I love a good road trip, but I made you hate them, didn't I? I made you hate road trips.
I've been on more road trips than I want to be because I love you.
Well, so no more road trips. Okay. So future oriented or present oriented?
Oh, future.
All right, present.
Some people are past oriented.
Yes. Okay, that's an option. Are you past? No, you're not. None of us are. So, okay, look. This is all to say, all of this was just to say, we're very different people, right?
Yes, very different.
And how have we stayed together for 41 years?
I gave up trying to make you the same.
You did.
I did.
Do you regret that decision?
No, if you can't win the game, change the game. And I think
Is that an insult?
No,
What?
I think a lot of people spend their lives trying to make the people they love who they are, rather than loving who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And I never tried to make you like me. I just tried to understand you and learn how to navigate the uniqueness of who you are.
And I appreciate that because I realized when that happened in our marriage. And I can't remember, but I do. I remember how that felt. And the thing that you did was, I think we both gave up trying to change the other person.
Do you feel like you've given up? Mm-hmm. Because 15 minutes ago, before we walked up here, you said, you're going to wear those shoes? So you really haven't given up. And I'm telling you.
I really haven't given up everything, have I?
I have to tell you, this is so funny because I'm much more eccentric than you guys know. I'm a filtered version of me. And not because Jesus needs me to be someone else, but because Christians need me to be someone else.
That's really sad.
Yes, and
but also I need you to be someone else.
Yes, so I cannot tell you how many times I'll get dressed right before we come to Mosaic, and Kim will say, "Are you wearing that?" I say, "No, I'm just wearing it to the car. I'm going to change in the car, of course." and a lot of it is because it's not really because Kim's trying to make me someone she wants me to be. She's trying to make me someone that she feels like others will accept and love. And so it's always well-intended. Yeah. But early on, we didn't understand who we were. We didn't understand how we were different. And have you ever noticed that until you realize that the difference in people is something beautiful, you think it's a liability on their part? And so you're not trying to hurt them. You're trying to help them be better by becoming just like you, right? And when you begin to realize, oh, their uniqueness is what makes them special. There are things about Kim that, as I got to know her better and better, I realized, like there was a season in Kim's life, I'm just going to go there, where I knew she was really unhappy. And she would never say it, because Kim doesn't give herself permission to say, I'm unhappy. And she really didn't give herself permission to go, I'm unhappy with you. And one of the things that was really missing in her life at that point was Kim has this adventurous spirit that has to go conquer and make the world better. And one of the things I realized is if Kim gets on a plane and goes to Africa, if she gets on a plane and goes to Nigeria like she's doing this Sunday, and she tries to solve a huge human problem, she's actually filled with joy. She loves me more when Nigeria's in her life, and able to love me better when she's sleeping on the floor in Bangladesh. I'm not able to love her better if I'm sleeping on the floor in Bangladesh. I'm bitter. But there's something special about who she is. And so you have to understand that the person realize that when they are experiencing life to their fullest, they have an overflow for you. But when you're stealing from them what makes them fully alive, you can't expect them to have reserve for you. And I think that's been one of the really beautiful things in our marriage.
A couple of things, just when I hear you talk about me, I'm grateful. But I know you're probably seeing somebody else just in your head. But the reason I go, it's not to save the world. It's not my job to save the world. It's Jesus' job. But the thing is, I participate in what he's doing, in his movement around the world. And I'm thinking if we could just be a part of that, we could participate with him in that, then he uses us to our fullest. We show up with flesh and blood. Flesh and blood moves the needle to goodness. And what you have done over the decades of us being together, and this is what's so mysterious about our love, that people don't really know how close we are. People don't know how connected we are and how truly we love each other deeply. And how we keep some things to, like, that's our sanctuary, that's our place of hiding for us. I mean, you agree, right? Just thinking. No, but I love the fact that you created this open space for me to go anywhere in the world, because you knew I desperately need it. And I'm called in a different, sometimes in a different direction than you are, but we are intentional about being on mission together. And this is our home place right here. This is home base. This is our place. And so I thank you for being my constant.
Yeah, it's awesome. But I think there's a principle here in terms of friendships and relationships, is that so oftentimes we measure relationships on what a person brings to us, and rather than what can we bring to that person. And even when she says she doesn't go to save the world, I came home last night and there's a giant photograph framed in our hallway of a child I have never met or do not know. And it's not like a photograph of me and or our family or Aaron or Mariah or even Juno or Jake. It's a child that she's met somewhere in another part of the world that represents what brings meaning to her life. And when I first saw it, I saw it, another photograph of a human I don't know. I mean, that was my first thought, And then I had a second thought. Yep, that's what makes her happy. And it does, and it makes me happy. And I think that it's so important in building relationships to go, is there a way that I can add value to that other person to help them live the life that they long to live? There was a time where I had a company and was running in several different industries. And in that little season of time, we were making a lot of money. A lot of money. And Kim was giving away like $500,000 every year. She was just giving money away so fast that it forced me to work harder. And because she didn't worry about whether, there was any more money. She was just, she's calling me last night trying to Zoom with me. Can I give away these suits? And I said, honey, you can give away any of your clothes you want. And she goes, no, they're yours. And she just has that spirit to give. I remember when I lost everything, because if I'm going to tell you I made a lot, I also lost a lot. And I remember when she said, we're not generous anymore because we couldn't give away $500,000 a year. And I said, no, honey, we're still generous. We're just poor. Right? There's just a difference, right? And so, what excites me? Like, I like doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. But I literally sit down and go, how can I generate something where Kim can not ever have to blink an eye for helping a refugee or helping a foster kid or initiating a project? Like, that actually motivates me because I don't think I would have a motivation to be the best version of me if I wasn't attached to Kim.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I'm beautiful. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, it's all ridiculous. All right, this is the mystery of love. It's in Song of Songs. Mm-hmm. And I love this because Solomon wrote this, and people have been mysterious about this. What is the meaning of this entire book? And people have metaphorized this. But if you just look at it as a love story, this is how it goes. Song of Songs. All night long, and this is out of the NIV, all night long, on my bed, I looked for the one that my heart loves. I looked for him, and I did not find him. That's bad news. I'll get up now, that's good news, and I'll go about the city, through its streets and squares, and I will search for the one my heart loves. So I looked for him, but I did not find him. And the watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. Have you seen the one that my heart loves? Like they'd know. So scarcely had I passed them when I found the one my heart loves. And I held him, and I would not let him go. Till I had brought him to my mother's house, kind of weird, to the room of the one who conceived me. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, by the gazelles and by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. And that last part means don't awaken love until it's time, till you've given something to it, till you know it's the right thing, and it's the right timing, it's the right who, right? And I love this passage because didn't God give us the gift of affection?
Yeah, I think sometimes.
Yeah, we're talking to us.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we use the word love, it immediately gets translated into romantic love. But love is so much broader. The spectrum is so much more beautiful than just romantic love. Like, you're the singular person that I love romantically. And so that's a exclusive, non-expansive space for me. But I love Joe Smith, and I love Carlos Pimentel. Like, I love Austin St. John. Like, I picked three guys on purpose because I think sometimes we're not like comfortable, like saying like we love someone who's like a brother to me. Like, I would give my life and die for those guys without blinking an eye. And I love David Arcos. There are people I love, and not just like. And then, like, I love Mariah and Jake and Aaron and Juno. Juno is a whole different dimension of love for me. And Juno's now the reason why I want to create a better world, so she can live in a better world than I lived in. And I think that when you understand love is expansive and it's really multidimensional, you don't have to wait until you have a romance to learn how to love. It's too late by then, because then you're going to be confused by attraction rather than commitment. And now Kim's title was The Mystery of Love, yes. And mine was the myth, the magic, and the mystery
of marriage.
Of marriage, but she doesn't like the word magic.
I didn't like all the M's.
Yeah. Well, here's the myth. The myth is that spiritual and mature people never fight. So here's like myth number one, I would say, is like, just because you grow in your relationship with God doesn't mean you're fight proof. And, in 41 years of marriage, we've fought a lot. And what makes our marriage unique is not that we didn't fight. I think whenever I meet someone and they say, usually it's a man, oh, we've never fought one time, I think, oh, that poor woman has lost herself. That's right. And because if you have a friendship and you never fight, one of you is not telling the truth about who you are and how you feel. And I think sometimes in friendships we think we have to hide ourselves to actually be accepted. And you don't really know your friends until you have a disagreement. You don't know your friends until you have a fight. You don't know your friends until you stand on opposite views of something, and then you go, yeah, but we can still walk together. And so I think the myth is that spiritual maturity will make you a non-fighter. And I think that the deeper your friendship goes, the deeper your relationship, the more likely you are going to have conflict.
Well, that was one of my questions, but it was actually number 6. What are conflict boundaries that you personally hold?
Yeah, I think the most simple conflict boundary is don't attack the person, attack the problem. It's just a simple, you've probably heard it 1,000 times, and then don't do it. Is when you start losing a fight, the instinct is attack the person because I'm losing, right? And here's how we do it. You go, no, I don't. No, here's how you know if you do. You bring up something from the past. Yeah. You know how you know you're losing a fight? You bring up the past. Because if you're right, you only need to bring up the present. If you're not right or if you're wrong, you start bringing up the past to add weight to your argument.
I do bring up the past a lot, don't I? I mean, I don't intentionally mean to go into it like that, but I do bring a lot of collective issues to the present. And that's one of the things that I've tried to alter, but then that's my default.
It's hard. It's not easy, right? And have you ever noticed that you'll carry small offenses until they're big enough to have weight? And then you'll go, but you always do this. And you're like, but you've never mentioned that. Well, yeah, but it's been bothering me for 17 years. And now I'm bringing it up because I need that to win this fight. If you didn't bring it up in the past, to me, you are no longer allowed to bring it up. Like if it was okay 5 years ago and it wasn't a big enough problem, and now you're going, yeah, but for the last 3 years you've been doing this, you're going, well, that's not fair because you didn't give me a chance to change.
Well, I would just say this. One of your things is, over the years, you do not feel the need to win.
I don't.
And that is a real issue. Some of us all feel like we have to win in order for the argument to be legit. And that you got to lay that down because that's a relationship killer.
Yeah. Let me retract that. I do have a need to win. I want to win the person, not to fight. And I think there's a difference.
Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on to you now. But
Yeah.
what you do is what I love is that every time we fight, and we fight it out, is the fact that I love that I'm not injured at the end, but you will take the punches. And you avoid conflict at all costs. You don't like conflict. And it often scares you when I finally just break and let it go. But it's a good scare, right? It's a good scare. I love to do it. I love to see the fear in your eyes. But
how many of you guys are familiar with the Enneagram? Anybody familiar with the Enneagram? Okay, some of you. So there are these numbers, and I'm not that familiar with it, but there's a number 8. I am familiar with that one because it's called the Challenger. And that's the person whose first thought is fight. So we went on a family vacation, and we always added Eric and Tess Roy with us. So we're sitting at the pool, and we all took the Enneagram. Kim is an 8, Challenger, fight. Aaron's an 8, Challenger, fight. Mariah's an 8, Challenger, fight. Eric Roy is an 8, Challenger, fight. Tess Roy is an 8, Challenger, fight. I'm a 5.
like that's supposed to be glorious. What does that mean? 5.
I'm like, I think it's called the investigator. So basically, I'm the tuna in a an
Shark.
ocean of sharks. And, my role is just to provide dinner. And I realized that all their personalities were really geared toward assertiveness. And so they're being assertive, and they're not perceiving themselves to be aggressive. They're just dynamic, and they're the 8s lead the world, and the 5s think about it. And so I'm going to go through my myth is you're going to fight. You're never going to be so spiritually mature where you don't have fights, but you can learn diplomacy, and you can learn the skill of people, and you can make a choice to win people, not arguments. And if you make your intention, I'm going to win this person, not win this argument, your life will radically change. The magic is in this. Oh, I forgot the magic. Oh, it was so good.
The magic is this. What is it, Erwin?
Oh, that you get
They what?
that you get to fall in love over and over and over again. I just was talking to, I just did a podcast with a guy named Mao, evidently like massive in Latin America. And is it Mao and Ricky? They have a band or something like that, and married to, and who's the guy? Camilo. Like if you're Latin, Camilo and Mao and Ricky, they're just like, so we're on this podcast with Mao, and he's married, and we're talking, and he said, I'm changing so much, and it's hard for my wife to keep up with all the changes in my life and who I'm becoming, because we've been together since we were teenagers. And I said, well, every time you change, you have to realize that you're asking your wife to break up with the version of you she loved. And then suddenly you're expecting her to fall in love with a stranger that she's not chosen to love yet. So here's the magic. You get to romance your wife and woo her and win her to yourself every time you change. Because what you're basically saying is, I need you to drop the last me and choose the new me. And he said, yeah, that's not what I do, but it's what I'm going to do from now on. In fact, I'm going to go home and tell my wife, I'm not going to tell her, I'm not going to let her listen to this podcast. And I'm going to tell her, I'm going to win her to myself. So to me, the magic is, I've had the opportunity to win Kim's love over and over and over again. And I've never taken for granted that she was obligated to love me at every transition of my life.
Mm-hmm. That's good. It's true. It's true. And that was one of the questions. What if one values change and the other prefers things to stay the same? Like, I feel like you change fast. Mm-hmm. You change fast. And you expect me to be right there with you, changing as fast as you. And it's just not going to happen. I am 1 year behind you. Every single thing that you bring to the table and you ask us to do as a community, or you ask us, change like that. I'm about a year behind you. And I've had to realize that I'm not what is it you call it?
Like an innovator, early adopter?
That. I'm not really that. I am hopping on later. So I give you that. But what about change that sometimes people can't like.
I think that's one of the things that we don't talk about enough.
That's right.
Is that a part of compatibility is the rate of change at which you're comfortable with. And so when you're dating someone and you're like, wow, he has great abs, like, you're not really connecting to the part of him that's going to be most challenging for you. When you're connecting to her and like, oh yeah, I'm in love with her face, it's going to surprise you later that you may not be compatible.
Maybe you could alter that. Is this no?
Yeah, no. It's like
anything you want to change about that?
No, because what's going to happen is you're going to assume that you and that person move through life at the same rate of pace. And if you move fast and that person moves slow, that's going to be one of the greatest tensions in your life. especially if you need someone or expect someone to move at the same rate, or if you move slow. Honestly, where I've really felt sorry for a lot of wives are the ones who are naturally fast-moving women, and they married a really slow, plodding man. Because he has a really good job and has a really secure paycheck because he's stable. But if you marry stability, don't expect innovation. And you know, there are things you lose when you choose.
What do you wish you knew before getting married to me? Come on.
Guys, recognize a landmine when you see it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that coming.
See, there are some questions you don't want to answer, okay? There is no right answer. There's only death. So my answer will be, I wish I had been smart enough to marry you sooner.
That's great.
See?
Disingenuinely great. Disingenuinely great. I wish I knew how much I did not know when I said, I commit to you. I mean, I meant it, I commit to you, but I just didn't know what we didn't know. I mean, like, I just wished I knew a little bit more about marriage. And so I could have said, okay, I don't expect him to be like my father, but why can't he be like my dad? You know? And you said, what? What? Put it away? Is that what that sign is? No, but I wish I had known that when I started understanding like the Myers-Briggs and stuff, I realized you got to relax here. You're different. He's special, and just leave him alone. Mm-hmm. Let him be who he is.
So I wanted to take a few minutes.
Yeah.
And you know, one of my favorite passages with relationships, and I get to go do the wedding this weekend of two of my friends, which is really cool. But in Ecclesiastes, Solomon wrote this: two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? The one may be overpowered, two can't defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. I think I really appreciate this passage in Ecclesiastes because Solomon doesn't directly make it about marriage. We've just incorporated it to marriage. He actually talks about the power of human relationship. That can be a husband and a wife. It can be, you know, two soulmate girlfriends for life. It can be your business partner that you start from scratch and no one knows the poverty you guys knew, so no one can celebrate the wealth you have like you can. It can be that brother, you know, from another mother who is closer than your blood because you know that they show up. If you call at 4 a.m, they don't ask you, what are you doing calling me? They just get up and go. I'm absolutely convinced that we're designed for that level of intimacy and connection and commitment in relationship. And for me, the greatest gift of being married 41 years is to, in a sense, get to have that deeply spiritual social experiment of, can one person know you for 4 decades and actually want to see you the next day? I mean, that is a miracle. And so when I thought about today's topic, I thought about myth, magic, and mystery. The myth in relationships is that you can become spiritually mature enough to never have a fight again. That's a myth. A good marriage has fights. A bad marriage has none, because someone has already surrendered themselves. And so we've never become spiritually mature enough where we don't fight. And I wish I could say we're spiritually mature enough where we don't fight over stupid things. But we still fight over stupid things. And I think that Kim was asking the critical question, how do you learn how to fight? Attack the problem, not the person. And I know you've heard this, but here's how you can know if you're attacking the person. Have you ever had a fight with someone and you're losing? So you start bringing up everything they did in the past? That's how you know you're attacking the person, because you're actually losing. Because maybe you're wrong. Or maybe your idea is bad. Or maybe you don't have clarity. You're too emotionally confused. The moment you start going, yeah, but last year, in 2008, you did this. The moment you start going backwards to pull in material, you are already wrong. Because you're having to bring past data to win a fight in the present. So the myth is you can grow enough spiritually to never have a conflict with someone you love. But you can't actually have conflicts that don't destroy the other human being. Because the goal is not, Kim and I, we have a different level of intensity. And when we were newly married, she was very dynamic in her expressions when she was upset.
Dynamic. Uh-huh. You mean loud.
And I was very quiet. Like I would say, this really makes me mad. This really bothers me. And she would just keep on going. And
I just never thought it was like important enough because you weren't.
What do I got to do to convince you that this really upsets me? She said, well, you don't ever act upset. I said, okay, but if I escalate to 10 and then there's something really bad, I have nowhere to go. So I just want to stick it like 0 to 1 when it's just about the toothpaste. Right? Or about something so trivial in life. And I remember one time, I think we were married like 16 months, and I threw a pillow. I thought, I got to throw something, or she won't believe him. I literally told myself, strategize.
It wasn't a pillow, it was a basket of laundry.
Oh, I remember that one too. And but I didn't pick up that basket of laundry impetuously. I actually thought about it ahead of time. I thought, what can I do physically to communicate what I'm feeling inside that she'll believe me? And then finally she said, well, I never believed you because you didn't seem upset. So some of it was like learning how to calibrate and understand that what's going on inside of us may be different than how it's being expressed, because I'm really angry and I'm like this. In fact, if I'm really quiet, that's when you should be afraid. If I'm loud, I'm just trying to find a strategy. It's not just coming out of me. And so we had to learn how to communicate in that.
Yeah, because it often just is coming out of me. And I don't have a strategy. I'm a verbal processor, and so God bless you at the end, that if we get there.
And I had to figure out, she's super intense, but she's going to be okay. Like in a little while, I'm still going to be like dealing with the shrapnel of it, but she's like,
thanks for
listening.
listening.
Let's go get Chick-fil-A.
It's done. It's done.
So that's number one myth. You never fight if you're spiritually mature. The magic is that the longer you stay with someone in a loving, romantic relationship, the more times you get to fall in love over and over again. That's the magic. And we just did a podcast with a guy named Mao. I guess they have a band called Mao and Ricky. And as we're talking, he's been married. He goes, I'm growing and changing. I've been with my wife since we were almost like children. They were together, I think, teenagers. And he said, and it's hard because I'm changing and growing. And this is kind of a hard thing for her to connect to. And I said, it's because she fell in love with the last version of you. Now you're showing up with a new version of you, and you're expecting her to be in love with you without even really knowing who this new version is, but she was in love with the last version of you. You're asking her to break up with the you she loves and now start dating the new you that you want her to love. So remember how much work it took you to romance her, to get her to fall in love with you? You need to use that same energy every time you're changing. So you get to re-romance your wife and win her love at every stage that she changes and every stage you change. And that's kind of like the magic of a long-term romance, is that it's harder, believe me. I'm gonna say it the way around. It's easier to win someone's love the first time than it is the second time, or the third time, or the 100th time. You have to be way more creative because she already knows you. She knows everything you do. And then to me, the mystery of a long-term relationship, being married for 41 years, is that the mystery is that you can only know yourself most deeply when you let someone into your inner world. And when we were about to get married, I remember I said, hey, I'm getting married to Kim. And this guy goes, oh, now you're going to really know who you are. I said, what? He goes, yeah, you get married, you're going to find out who you are right away. And he was saying like death wish. And when he said that, I told him, I said, that's so exciting. That now there's somebody in my life and they get to be a mirror of who I really am. Because I don't want to lie to myself with a false version of me. I mean, 41 years later, I don't have any tricks that can hide who I am to Kim. She just sees me. She knows me, and she has to decide whether she loves and respects who I really am. And what's really exciting for me is, I don't know why, but I think it's like the most wonderful challenge in the world to have someone who can get behind your mask, who can get behind the curtains of your soul, and you can still earn their respect and love. That to me is the mystery, because you get to grow in that relationship.
I think that's the one thing, the future moment that I had when I was dating you, is that I knew you didn't have any money, you didn't have a car, you didn't have anything. You just moved with
I had love, honey.
Yeah. So, but I realized I want this one because of the fire that it was incomparable that was in your heart. And I'm like, I didn't, the money fell as wayside. I didn't know what you were, I just knew you were becoming something amazing. And we have been able to grow in that all of these years. And every season, grow up.
And this is why we think this month is really important, all right? And not everything's going to relate to you the same way another thing's going to relate to you. But what's, I think, really key is that when you look back on life, your best memories are not going to be when you crushed it in the industry, or when you made your most money, or when you became most famous, or you had the most stuff. Your best memories are going to be completely connected to the health of your relationships. And all your memories of regret, those dark periods in your life, they're not going to be about you went broke. They're not going to be about no one knew me. They're not going to be about I didn't have a car or an apartment or a house. They're going to be about all the broken relationships in your life, which is why this is so important. This is the economy, the highway system of God. It is all about human relationships. And if marriage is, I think, maybe the most intensely difficult invitation of life, to do life with one human being and to continuously place the other person above yourself. This is a hard work endeavor. There's nothing easy about it. It makes more sense that marriages don't last than that marriages last. But this goes way before marriage. You cannot have a healthy marriage if you don't know how to have healthy relationships. You cannot, people say, why are people bad parents? It's because they don't know how to have relationships with even their peers. Parenting is about knowing how to have relationships. Marriage is about knowing how to have healthy relationships. Business, by the way, is about knowing how to have healthy relationships. Life is about knowing how to have healthy relationships.
Can I just stop you there for a second? Because I know you were going
Our
somewhere.
time is up, that's why.
Our time is up. I don't care. Because I have to read this. You're talking about relationships all the way through. Here's the relationship that I probably most admire. I asked my son-in-law, Jake, he's the drummer in Mariah, and he sent this to me last night. MSC recently wrote a song called To God Be the Glory, and this resounds in my soul as I watch Mariah, our daughter, as I watch Mariah navigate through life as a mom. Our daughter Juno is the luckiest little princess unicorn in the whole wide world. Or as Juno would say, no, let me show you. I'm the princess and I'm a kitty cat unicorn and I want a snack and let's read a book and you want to watch a movie? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mommy and Daddy. I'm not scared anymore. And I love the wonder of kids, but what I love even more is the way Mariah looks into Juno's eyes. It's that look that tells Juno, you're safe here. You're loved here. You can try and fail here. You can go ahead and somehow elbow me in the eye socket because that's where a 3-year-old's elbow goes. To God be the glory that I get the best seat in the house watching Mariah be a mom. To God be the glory that I get to love a woman with all of my heart that loves her husband and daughter with all of her being. Mariah amazes me. Mariah intimidates me. Me too. How can someone so little and so young be so powerful and wise? How can someone so sick sometimes get up on the stage and speak and sing to thousands of people without holding back? How does she know that the challenge she's giving you is just the future you've been dreaming of? Oh, I know, because she's wisdom, resilience, obedience wrapped in a wild, gentle love. And if you couldn't tell, I'm a fan. That is the mystery of love right there. Good on you, Jake Goss. Good on you. Passing it along.
And by the way, the reason relationships are the exact appropriate conversation in church is because that's how God designed us. And God designed us for relationship to each other, but also in relationship to Him. And the reason Jesus stepped into human history and walked among us and lived a sinless and beautiful life and died on a cross and rose from the dead was because God's principal concern is the broken relationship between us and Him. And His intention is to restore that relationship back so that we could know His unconditional forgiveness and love. And if you're here and you've never invited Jesus into your life, I want to at least give you this moment. There's nothing magical in that sense. It's just relational. It begins by a prayer like, Jesus, I give you my life. That's why we pray that simple prayer each week. Because it's a starting point when you just pray, Jesus, I give you my life. It's inviting God to take your life and asking God to give you life. And to invite Him into a relationship that is never ending. Because we become whoever our closest relationships are. And when Jesus is your closest relationship, you become like Him. And so I'm going to ask us all right now, just for a moment, just bow our heads and close our eyes. And if you're here and you've never invited Jesus into your life, I just want to give you a moment right now, just a moment of pause. You know you are created for love. You know you're created for relationships. And somehow, perhaps even in your soul, you know that you need God and that Jesus is His name. So I'm going to invite you right now just to pray that simple prayer, Jesus, I give you my life. Right now, just tell Him, Jesus, I give you my life. And if this is your prayer, we want to pray for you. If your heart's prayer is, Jesus, I give you my life, I just want you to raise your hand right now. I just want to see you, and I want to pray for you. If there's anyone here today, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else wonderful? Anyone else? Jesus, I give you my life. Wonderful. Wow. All around the room. Anyone else? Jesus, I give you my life. Beautiful, beautiful. Father, I thank you so much for each person I see you who in this moment has opened up their hearts to you and just whispered this simple prayer, Jesus, I give you my life. God, I'm so grateful that you're a relational God, that you're a God of love and that you came to love us in a way that no one else could love us. So I pray, God, you would just wrap them up in your love and let them know they belong to you, that you'll never abandon them, that this is the love that lasts forever. And that's why you came.
We thank you, Father. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Can we just thank God for all those who respond to him right now? So beautiful.